My name is Sergeant John Chafee, Johnchcha, F like Frank, EE. So we're here talking about 3 carjackings that have occurred in just under a week. The first occurred last Thursday morning around 4 o'clock in the morning. Second occurred yesterday morning around 4 o'clock in the morning. And then the third occurred this morning around 2:30 in the morning. So investigators are looking at each of these. We are looking at some similarities in each case that lead us to believe that there is a possibility that they are related, although that has not been confirmed at this point, and we're not ruling anything out. In the first case, this occurred Thursday morning last week at 935 Westview Drive. In that case, 4 black males pulled up in a Toyota pickup truck. 2 of them exited the truck, both produced handguns, and approached the victim, ordered him from his vehicle, and took his vehicle. That vehicle was recovered several days later. The victim advised that one of the suspects had dreadlocks in that case. The second case occurred Tuesday morning around 4 o'clock in the morning this week at 955 Founders Drive. In this case, 1 black male approached on foot. He produced a handgun, ordered the victim from his vehicle, and took the vehicle. We were able to track that vehicle and located it a short time later unoccupied. And this morning, this case occurred around 2:30 this morning. In this case, a maroon or red sedan pulled up behind the victim. There were 4 occupants of that vehicle. 3 of them exited. 1 of them produced a handgun, ordered the driver from his vehicle, and they took the vehicle. 3 of them entered the vehicle and drove off in that, and then the 4th male left in the original vehicle that they pulled up in. So we're looking at the possibility of each of these being related. These all occurred within a mile of each other, less than a mile of each other. As of last night, we had increased patrols in the area, and we actually had an officer that was nearby when this occurred. And going forward, we are going to be increasing the resources that are in that area. We're shifting some resources into that area. Some of this will be some of our tactical units, SWAT, Apex. We are utilizing some undercover vehicles, undercover officers, unmarked vehicles. This is something that is very important to us. These acts are unacceptable, and we are going to do everything that we can to get these people off our streets.
So when the cars are found, what do they want with them? What do they do with them? What's the purpose of, if you end up finding the cars later, what usually happens in these cases? What do the bad guys want with these type of cars?
I don't want to speculate as to exactly why. So the first case, that vehicle was located several days later. In the second case, that vehicle was located a short time later, and then the vehicle from this morning is still outstanding, is last report that I had.
And
we're still looking for it. What's that?
They don't take anything from the cars, or?
I'll have to look and see if there was any missing property in those. There was no missing property from the vehicles, actually. So, so I've seen cases where vehicles were taken for parts. I've seen cases where vehicles were driven for about a block. I don't want to speculate as to why in each of these cases, but nonetheless, this is an armed robbery, and it's something that's very concerning to us.
Is it unusual that it's happening all within a mile radius? It's like very centralized in this area. Why is this such a hot spot this less than a week here?
Again, I don't want to speculate too much on that. It does look like these suspects are looking in this area perhaps for victims if these cases are related, and that's something that we're looking into. So as the investigation goes forward, we hope to gather additional information that may answer some of those questions.
Is there anything you can offer motorists in terms of any advice to lessen their chances of becoming a victim?
I think some of the best advice in these cases is just be very mindful of your surroundings. So if you're out after dark, you're in your vehicle, especially stationary somewhere parked, be mindful of your surroundings, try to stay in a well-lit area, and if you see somebody approaching you, be mindful of these activities occurring, and if you see anything suspicious, go ahead and call us. I know some of the people that live in this area, you're going to be somewhat familiar with that area. If you see something that does not fit, if you feel that it is something that makes you uncomfortable, makes you suspicious, call the police. We'll come out and check it out. If it's nothing, hey, that's great. We can move on. But if it's something, then we're there. We can respond to it. So just be very, very mindful of what's going on and report anything that's suspicious to us.
If you can safely drive away, because if you don't recognize the person coming toward you, if you can safely drive away, even if that may mean running a stop sign or a stoplight, might it be better to do that and then explain later?
It's difficult to give blanket advice for every case, because every case is going to be very different. However, there are going to be cases where if you can safely pull away, yeah, that might be something that you take into consideration. And that's one of the things that you want to be mindful of with your surroundings is if you're going to park somewhere, be mindful of, okay, if somebody does approach me, what am I going to do? So maybe put that thought into your mind ahead of time, be thinking about that, be able to respond if something does occur.
In each of these three cases, the person approaching the vehicles, are there any similarities with those?
So in the first case, the victim advised that the suspect had dreadlocks. In the second case, the first case, one of the suspects had dreadlocks. In the second case, it was one suspect, and we were advised that he also had dreadlocks. And then again, in this case, there was a male that had dreadlocks. So we are looking at, there are some similarities with each case. It's not enough for us to confirm at this point that they are all related, but it's certainly some things that we're looking at that possibility.
How about, and I guess these are all at nighttime, but how about any VIC or business video?
At this point, we have not located any video covering these. That is something investigators are continuing to look for. If there's video that may have captured something that may help us out. If somebody, a resident or a business owner in that area has video that they believe may help us. The first was on the 27th of September around 4 o'clock in the morning. The second was October 2nd around 4 o'clock in the morning. And then the third was October 3rd this morning around 2:30 in the morning. So if they have video and they believe that there may be something on that video that would assist us, that would be great to have. They can go ahead and call us and let us know about that, and we would appreciate that. If there are citizens or if anybody else was in the area during these times and saw something that didn't fit, was suspicious to them, if they can call Crime Stoppers, pass that information on to us, that'd be very helpful.
Okay, are the victims themselves familiar with the area?
I guess two of the victims, I believe, stayed in that area. The third was I believe maybe a Lyft driver, I believe. I've got to confirm which company, but so it was a rideshare driver. So I'm not sure of his familiarity with the area.
So the first two were students?
The first two were students.
Okay. What's the name of that gang that works that corridor? DFW, is it down for whatever?
I'm not immediately familiar with that. I would have to reach out to our gang unit to find that out.
In each of these cases, is the verbiage the same or very similar when they approach the car and tell the victim? Is that similar?
There are some similarities there. We won't go into too many specifics on that, but there are some similarities there.
Okay. Does this look like a pattern of something you all have seen before?
We've experienced patterns similar to this in other areas. For us in this area to see 3 of these in less than a week, it's something that's very concerning to us, and that's why we've taken the steps to put additional resources. Chief Shields has made it important to the department to address this, and so that's why we've shifted some of these tactical units into that area, our SWAT, Apex units, along with undercover officers and unmarked vehicles. So this is something that's important to us. It's a priority to us. We're going to get these guys.
Okay, when you've seen that before, has it been associated with some type of organized group or just
It
random kids going car checking people?
It would depend on the case. A lot of times, it would depend on the case, but a lot of times it is something that's somewhat organized.
Before the 27th, didn't you have a couple of others, but maybe they were in different neighborhoods and not?
I'll have to, I mean, these aren't the first carjackings we have. I'll have to look at where those were and see. I'm not immediately familiar with that.
In each of these cases, have the perps become more hostile or basically about the same?
It appears about the same. Anybody else have anything else?
What's your greatest fear about this?
Well, anytime that we see an armed robbery, any incident like this where a weapon is involved, there's certainly a concern there that they may use that weapon. And so this is obviously part of why this is so important to us to address this. All right?